Right now, there are 3.3 million pension pots sitting forgotten and unclaimed in the UK. They hold £31.1 billion between them. The average lost pot is worth £9,470. But here is the bigger problem. Most of the people who do know where their pension is have absolutely no idea what it is invested in, whether it is growing properly or whether the fees are quietly eating their retirement savings year by year. In this video, I am going to show you how to check your workplace pension in 10 minutes, what the different fund types actually mean, what to look for, what to consider changing, and how to find any pension pots you have lost along the way. This is one of the most valuable 10 minutes you will spend this year. Please stay with me. Here is a statistic that genuinely surprises people. 6 in 10 UK employees do not know that their pension is invested. They think it sits somewhere safe, growing slowly like a savings account. It does not. Your workplace pension, unless you have specifically chosen otherwise, is sitting in something called a default fund. A default fund is the investment your employer and pension provider chose for you when you joined the scheme. You did not pick it, you probably do not know what it holds. And the uncomfortable truth is that it was designed to be acceptable to the average person, so it is not optimal for you specifically, it is just a generic fund for everyone. The biggest workplace pension provider in the UK, Nest, has nearly 14 million members. 99% of them are in a default fund. I will say that again, 99%. That means almost every single person enrolled through Nest is invested in exactly the same way, regardless of their age, their attitude to risk, or how far they are from retirement. Now, default funds are not necessarily bad. For younger savers, the average annualized return from the biggest UK default funds has been 9.3% over the past 5 years. That is not terrible. But for people closer to retirement, the picture is different. Default funds automatically shift your money into lower risk investments as you approach retirement. In 2024, the average return for default funds for those nearing retirement fell to just 4.91%. Some funds did far worse. The Legal and General Multi-Asset Fund returned just 3.47% in 2024. And on top of the return question, there is the fee charging question. The charge cap on default workplace pension funds is 0.75% per year. A difference of just 0.55% in annual charges on a typical pension pot can cost you approximately £19,000 less at retirement. From a fee difference that probably does not even appear clearly on your statement. So, before we talk about what to do, let me explain what those fund names actually mean, because when you log into your pension and see words like default, balanced, cautious, or lifestyle, most people have absolutely no idea what any of that tells them about where their money is. A default fund simply means nobody made an active choice. It is the pension provider's standard option chosen by your employer when you were enrolled. Most default funds are actually lifestyle funds underneath, which I will explain in a moment. The key thing to know is that being in the default does not mean you are in the wrong place. It just means you have never actively evaluated whether it is the right place for you. A cautious fund holds a large proportion of bonds and cash alongside a smaller allocation to equities, typically around a third of the fund in company shares, and the rest in lower risk assets. It is designed for people who want to minimize the chance of losing money in the short term. The trade-off is lower long-term growth. If you are in your 20s or 30s and in a cautious fund, you are almost certainly being too conservative for your age. You have decades for the market to recover from any dip. Being overly cautious at that stage does not protect you. It costs you compounding. A balanced fund sits in the middle, typically around half to 2/3 in equities and the remainder in bonds and other assets. It targets long-term growth while managing risk. This is the most common default profile for most major UK providers, including the People's Pension. For someone in their mid-40s, it is a reasonable position. For someone in their 20s, it is probably still too conservative. An adventurous or growth fund goes the other way, primarily in equities, sometimes 90% or more, aiming to maximize long-term returns. Higher volatility in the short term, but historically stronger growth over the long run, suitable for younger savers or anyone with a long time horizon who is comfortable with their balance moving around. A lifestyle fund or target date fund is the most sophisticated of the options. It automatically shifts your investment mix as you age, starting with a higher proportion of equities when you are young and gradually moving toward bonds and cash as you approach your chosen retirement date. This is what most modern default funds actually are underneath the hood. The logic is sound. The potential issue is that the shift can sometimes start earlier than is ideal, often 10 to 15 years before retirement, which can leave you in a far more conservative position than is optimal, particularly if you plan to keep your pension invested and draw it down gradually in retirement rather than cashing it all out on a fixed date. The honest summary is this. If you are under 45 and more than 15 years from retirement, a higher equity allocation is likely to serve you better over the long term than a cautious or even balanced default. The global index tracker approach we covered in last week's video applies equally inside your pension as it does inside your stocks and shares ISA. So what do you actually do? 4 steps, and most of them take about 5 minutes each. Step 1. Find out who your pension provider is and log in. Ask your employer or check your payslip. It will say who your pension provider is. The biggest UK workplace pension providers are Nest, the People's Pension, Aviva, Legal and General, Scottish Widows and Royal London. Go to their website, log into your account and look for a section called My Investments, My Funds or Investment Options. This is where you will find out exactly what your money is currently invested in. Step 2. Check 3 things once you are in. First, the fund name and type. Use what we just covered to understand what it means. Second, the equity allocation. If you are under 45 and your fund is less than 70 to 80% in equities, you may not be growing your money as efficiently as you could be for your age. Third, the annual management charge or ongoing charges figure. If it is above 0.5%, particularly if you are in an older scheme that predates the charge cap, it is worth understanding whether a lower cost alternative is available within your scheme. Step 3. Understand your options for switching. Most workplace pensions give you the option to choose different funds. You are not stuck with the default. If your provider offers a global index tracker fund, and most major UK providers now do, this is worth comparing directly against your default. A low-cost global tracker typically charges under 0.3% per year and provides broad diversification across thousands of companies worldwide. You do not need to transfer your pension to a different provider to access one. You switch funds within your existing pension, log in, find the investment options section and make the selection. It typically takes 1 to 3 working days to process and there is no tax consequence. However, before switching, always read the fund fact sheet for whatever you are moving into and consider taking advice if the sums involved are significant. Step 4. Check for lost pensions from old jobs. The average UK worker has approximately 11 jobs over their career. Every job since 2012 has come with a workplace pension. If you have not kept track of every pension from every employer you have ever had, and most people have not, some of that money may be sitting unclaimed right now. The government runs a completely free pension tracing service at gov.uk/find-pension-contact-details. You enter your old employer's name and it gives you the contact details for the pension scheme. You then contact the scheme directly to confirm your pot. get a current valuation, and decide what to do with it. 3.3 million pots, £31.1 billion. Average value £9,470. The odds that one of them is yours are not small. Two important things before you make any changes. Firstly, switching funds within your existing pension scheme is completely different from transferring your pension to a new provider. Switching funds is simple, usually free, and carries no risk to your benefits. You are staying within the same scheme. You are just choosing where the money is invested within it. Transferring to a new provider, however, is a bigger decision. Some older pensions, particularly those started before 2006, have guaranteed annuity rates or protected pension ages that are genuinely valuable. Transferring away from a scheme with these benefits can mean giving up something worth tens of thousands of pounds in retirement. Always check for any protected benefits before transferring and take independent financial advice if the sums involved are significant. Secondly, this video is for awareness and education only. It is not financial advice. Your pension is one of the most important financial assets you will ever own. The right fund for you depends on your age, your retirement date, your risk tolerance, and your wider financial situation, factors I cannot assess for you in a YouTube video. Please take advice from a qualified financial advisor before making significant changes to your pension arrangements. Here are your two jobs after watching this video. Job 1, this week. Log into your workplace pension, find out what fund type you are in, and note the annual charge. Use what we covered today to understand what that fund is actually doing with your money. If you are under 45 and in a cautious or balanced default, at least find out what alternative options your provider offers. Job 2, also this week. Go to gov.uk/find-pension-contact-details and search for every employer you have worked for in the past 10 years. If any of them had a workplace pension, you may have money sitting there right now that you have simply forgotten about. Subscribe for a new video every Friday. No jargon, no products to sell you, just the frameworks that work. And drop a comment below. Have you ever actually logged in and checked what your workplace pension is invested in? I think fewer than 1 in 10 people in the United Kingdom have. Prove me wrong. Now, you know how to check your workplace pension and find any lost pots. But there is one more thing that connects everything we have covered in the last 5 videos together. Next Friday, I am going to walk you through the complete salary stack framework from start to finish, the 3-layer system for building real wealth from a regular UK salary. If you have watched every video from the beginning, this one ties it all together. If this is the first video you have seen, welcome to the channel. I hope the information is helpful. That one goes live this Friday. I will see you there.